Hi, and welcome to another episode of the U.S. Treasury Department series on reporting for the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund Program, or SLFRF program, which is again part of the American Rescue Plan. This brief video will cover some of the key changes we've made to the revision and editing functions of the report now that it is nearing maturity. This will apply to the Q2 2022 report and onwards. It'll be focused on two things. First, number one, how to make revisions or edits to records submitted as part of previous report cycles. And number two, how to make edits to many records at once using the bulk upload templates. Before we go into the demo, like in all other videos, just an important reminder that Treasury has published the SLFRF compliance or reporting guidance, as well as an updated project and expenditure report user guide on the Treasury website. To find this information, please visit www.treasury.gov/SLFRP reporting. I say this in every video, but I again highly encourage you all to view the resources there in addition to watching this video. And a quick reminder, the Q2 2022 project and expenditure report is available now for the largest recipients of the program, specifically those in tiers 1, 2, and 3, those who are required to report quarterly, and is due by July 31st, 2022. You should have received an email notifying you of its availability, and it included links as well as instructions on how to complete it. If you have not received that email, you can also visit the Treasury website at the link above, or log into our Treasury reporting portal directly through the hyperlink highlighted here. So the first topic that our demo will cover is revising previously submitted records. Some key takeaways here. First of all, the instructions on revising previously submitted records are detailed in Section 5 of the user guide. Now, in the July 2022 report, for the first time, we are rolling out the function whereby previously submitted projects, subrecipients, contractors, or beneficiary entities, subawards or direct payments, or expenditure records can no longer be deleted if they were submitted as part of a prior report. You can still delete records you created for the first time in your draft July P&E report, but any records that are carried over from your either January or April report cannot be deleted. Previously submitted records now need to be updated to reflect if you are removing funding or are being canceled altogether. And we'll show you in the system how to do this. All right, so now let's take a look at how the revision functions work in the project and expenditure report form. You can see here we landed at the project overview page of the project and expenditure report. This should look very familiar to all of you. If you are trying to fill out a project and expenditure report for the first time, please view the other webinar videos on the Treasury website to get a sense of how to fill out a report from scratch. But if you are just trying to revise or edit your project data in the July 2022 report, that's what we'll focus on here. First, you can see here I have a set of 4 projects that were carried over from a previous reporting cycle. The information that you'd see in these records should align with what you have previously submitted, barring any updates you've made since then. But let's take an example where I want to, for project number 1 here, test household project, that I want to actually represent that this project is no longer taking place and it should be canceled and no longer counted towards my use of SLFRF funding. So if we open up the project status icon by clicking here, I'll be able to open up the Edit Project tab, which should look very familiar to folks who've completed this before. you'll see pre-populated information on this project based on what I, as a recipient, previously submitted. You'll notice the delete project button still appears here, but because this is a project that was previously submitted, if I try to click delete project and then I say delete, an error will appear notifying me that this project, because it was previously submitted, cannot be deleted. So how do I actually reduce the funding from this project and represent that it's no longer a project that is using SLFRF funds? Let's try that again. We'll open up the project status icon, click into it to open edit project. What we'll actually be doing here is changing the status to completion field, changing the status here, and you'll see a new drop-down option of canceled. The cancellation of the project will do a few things. It will create a new field here that will be required that is labeled reason for canceling project. Here you're going to be asked to provide a text description of the reason for canceling this project. You can enter in as much detail as you feel is reasonable. I'm going to use an example. Again, for your particular case, be as detailed and descriptive as you can. So now I've populated a reason for why this project is being canceled. I don't have to change anything about the programmatic metrics that I previously reported here. They can still continue to be on this project record. It won't get counted towards any of your totals now because you have changed the status to completion to canceled. One thing we will want to do is represent that our overall cumulative obligations, cumulative expenditures, and if required, adopted budget is now all zero at the project level because we are representing that SLFRF funds are no longer going to this project at all. And it's important that you do this because you'll need to adjust the corresponding subaward and, if possible, the expenditure entries as well. Now let's go ahead and save the project. And like that, you can see my changes have been saved. If I scroll down for that particular project, my total obligations and total expenditures are now adjusted down to $0. You will see here you will continue to have warning errors, in particular for this project, because if I click on the obligation status, I had previously reported a subaward amount and aggregate obligations and expenditures for this project. If you look at the comparison up here, I need to adjust these amounts down to reflect the fact that there is no more SLFRF funding for this project. So I'll show you how to do that first on subawards. I'll click out of that. I'll go to the subaward module. And now that I'm loaded in the subawards module, I'm going to scroll down to view the list of previously created subawards. In this case, subawards from a prior entry. And I see here I have the first subaward here, which is the subaward for the project I just zeroed out at the project level. So that means I have to go ahead and remove the SLF funding from this subaward. Now to do that, I'm going to click the edit icon here, and I will edit the subaward amount field here. I'll edit to 0. And please note, because I am editing this subaward amount field, a new field will pop up asking for an explanation of why I'm editing the subaward amount. So in this case, please be sure to enter in an explanation as detailed again as possible for your specific circumstance. In this case, I'm just going to say that the project was canceled. But again, please be as detailed as possible in your specific scenario. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and click Save Subaward. And like that, the change has been saved. Now, if I go ahead and refresh the page, and I'll try to do that now. And if I scroll back down, you can see the subaward amount for this subaward has been changed correctly to $0. So now I've adjusted the subaward amount for this project that I'm canceling. The last piece here is to also make corresponding adjustments to any expenditures that I might have created previously. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go up and go to the Expenditures module. Let's go down and take a look at what has been previously submitted. So here in this case, I have the subaward that I just edited. The subaward amount is 0. You can see it's accurately reflected here. But I had previously created an expenditure for the subaward of $100. I need to zero this out. Separately, if I scroll down to aggregate expenditures, there's also an aggregate expenditure record for $10 in aggregate obligations and $10 in aggregate expenditures for this project. So I'm going to have to zero those out as well. So let's go ahead and try to do that now. Now, key thing to remember here is on the expenditures module, you are no longer able to edit or delete any entries that were previously created and submitted as part of a prior report. The idea here is that all entries must be adjusted through ledger style transactions, so that if you had previously created a positive value and you want to reduce that positive value in from a prior submission, you need to create a corresponding negative in the current period. Please note that if you are still creating new entries within the current open reporting period, you're still able to delete them. It's just anything that you have previously submitted that will no longer be able to be deleted. So let's go ahead and see how that looks. I'm going to create a new entry here with the subaward number. And you can see here the subaward amount is 0 because it's pulling in the 0 that I just edited. Let's just say in this case, it is expenditures occurring from 27th to the 30th. The expenditure amount in this case is important here because I need to back out the $100. So I'm going to be able to enter in negative $100. And like that, I've created a negative entry here that backs out the $100 that I previously created. So let's go ahead now to the aggregate expenditures for awards less than $50,000, where similarly I have for this project $10 and $10, $10 of obligations, $10 of expenditures that I need to back out here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to enter in the project that I want to back it out for. Again, this is the project that I canceled on the project overview page. I'm going to, again, select the same type of subaward. And then in total period obligations and total period expenditures, I'm just going to enter in negative values. Let's go ahead and create that expenditure. Great. Now we have that new expenditure created that basically negates out the prior period's amount that we had entered. This basically balances out our project to $0 for obligations and expenditures. Let's go to a project page and take a look at how that looks. So now we're back at the project page. You can see there's still yellow warning signs here, but if I click refresh, and I refresh the page, and I scroll down, you can see now my obligation status and my expenditure status for this project is now all completed and green because the subaward and expenditure modules balance out to the 0 obligations and 0 expenditures that I reported at the project level. So again, nothing about the core function of the report changes. It's just if I'm canceling a project and saying that there are no SLFRF funds continuing to be part of this project, I need to balance out the fact that there are 0 obligations, 0 expenditures now being reported. So that in a nutshell is how you make revisions to prior submissions and reflect changes to projects and components of projects over time. Just the key thing to remember here about this is records that were created and submitted as part of previous project and expenditure reports, particularly project records, subaward records, expenditure records, cannot be deleted moving forward. They must be each adjusted if they are to be reflective of new information or shifts in funding. All right, so now that we covered how to make revisions to previously submitted records, let's talk real quickly about making updates and revisions using the bulk upload functionality. And I know this is something that a lot of recipients have asked for, and starting in the July 2022 reporting cycle, the Treasury portal will allow you to make updates and revisions to multiple records at one time, specifically to project records and subaward / direct payment records. So key difference here, and we touched on this in the prior segment about manual revisions, you are not going to be able to use bulk upload to make revisions to expenditures because there's no circumstance where you would be making edits or deleting expenditure records that were submitted in prior reporting cycles. Any changes to expenditure amounts or aggregate amounts on the expenditure module must be reflected by creating new records. So offsetting transactions if you are canceling out a positive value. So that's why there's no bulk updating of records for the expenditures module. So key takeaways here. The instructions for using the bulk upload functionality to make revisions are detailed in Section 5 of the user guide. The functionality for making bulk revisions uses the same exact bulk upload templates that you would be using to create new records. There are also unique ID fields for each template that must be populated with the IDs of your previously created records in order to update them properly. So for example, for the project records, if you are using your project ID, pre-populating your template with the project ID that you previously have already created will allow you to make updates to those exact project records. Lastly, it's also important that the remaining template must be completed even if the information is not changing. So if you're updating a set of projects with the same unique IDs that you have already created, even if you're just changing values in one field, you still need to populate all of the other information in the template in order for it to upload correctly and for you to meet all of the requirements. Again, this upload feature replaces the information in your entire record, in this case a project record. It does not selectively update one or two fields at a time. So we'll go in and show you how that looks in the system. All right, now we're back in the report form, specifically the project overview tab. If we scroll down, we're going to be able to see the list of projects, the same projects that we were just looking at in the previous segment. And in this situation, let's say we want to try to update both projects 3 and projects 4 here. These two projects, the first with a project ID of test CS034 and a second one with a project ID of test CS003. Now we're going to be able to use one bulk upload file to update both of these projects at the same time. And this is specifically because both of these projects are in categories that use the project baseline template. And it's important that you pay attention to the template that you're using to make these edits because, again, each type of expenditure category has different required fields. But in this case, because these two projects use the same template, we can use one template to update them. So before we do that, let's just take a look and open up one of these projects to make sure we have the same information. So I'm going to open up test CS034. And if I click into it, I have information that was previously submitted in this report. So in this, I have cumulative obligations of $1 million, cumulative expenditures of $1 million, and status not started. That's great. We'll go ahead and close out of this, and then we can make changes to this and the subsequent project together. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to create add new project button. I'll click into it. And in order to bring up the templates I need to use, I can just select the category that I was just looking at. In this case, it'll automatically display the download project baseline template form. Now you can download this template. It's the same template that you would use to create new projects, but it's also, again, the template that you could use to populate and revise existing projects. So let me pause here. I'll go to the Excel spreadsheet for the template, and we'll show you how I populated it. All right, so now you're seeing on the screen the project baseline template that was downloaded and populated with information that existed for the existing project. So I've gone ahead and filled out the required fields for this, for these two projects that I want to update. Again, I am making sure that the project identification number reflects the project identification number that is already in the system and the ones that I want to update. So for this test scenario, let's just say I want to change the name and just say, call it revised. And call both of these projects revised as part of their project name. And I can adjust the amounts here. I'll change the cumulative obligations to 50,000 for the test CS003. I'll change the obligations for test CS034 to $2 million. So again, these are changing the values on two different projects. Now it's important that you save this file again as a CSV like you would any other bulk upload template. And once you do that, we're going to be able to upload this and submit the revisions. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, now I'm back in the report form. Let's say I have saved my project baseline template in this scenario as a CSV with the revisions that I want to make to the existing projects. I'm going to click Upload Project Baseline Template. And then, similar to other uses of the bulk upload functionality, I'm going to see the bulk upload pop-up appear. And I'm going to click on Upload Files to select the file that I just saved. And now after I've searched for and uploaded the corresponding file, in this case I have it saved as revised upload.csv, you can see it's successfully uploaded. I'm going to click Done. And it will load my revisions in here. So let's scroll over. Before I click Validate, I just want to make sure that my values are correct. And I can see here my 50,000 obligations and 2 million obligations, as well as the name changes have been inputted. So let's go ahead and click validate to make sure there are no errors. All right, and my validations are checked. And because I filled in all of the required information here, I did not get any errors. So that means I can go ahead and import these revisions. So let's go ahead and hit import. And you'll see a success box that the records have been successfully imported. Let's go ahead and hit close. All right, and we're back in my projects page. Let's just refresh this page and see if we can see our updates. And just like that, you can see we still have only 4 projects, but now these 2 projects have been updated. If I show up the name here, let's see if I can get, yes, my name for each project has been updated. So I know that went through. And you can see my obligations have become 2 million for test CS034 and 50,000 for test CS003. So my revisions to these projects were successful. I was able to use the bulk upload template, one bulk upload template, to update both of these values. Now again, you're going to be able to do this for as many projects as you need. Key thing to keep in mind here is to use the correct template for the project that you are uploading, for the projects that you are trying to update or upload for. Each template has different required fields depending on the expenditure category that you're trying to report on. So be careful of that. You don't want to accidentally eliminate fields that are required. It will make your ability to submit your report much more challenging. But ultimately, that is the process for making bulk revisions using the bulk upload templates for more than one project. So that wraps up this video on how to make revisions or deletions to your previously submitted records, as well as how to use the new bulk upload features to revise your records. So as always, if you have additional questions, we encourage you to visit our website at www.treasury.gov/SLFRP reporting. Again, you can also contact us directly at the email address slfrf@treasury.gov or call us at 844-529-9527. Thanks again for viewing this video.